The one thing that I think might have a big bite in the election is what's happened with mortgages, because mortgage pain has already hit. The actual payments that people have had to make to keep up with their mortgages, 12 interest rates in a row. Mortgage interest bill up an extra $26,000 to $50,000 for the average home since 2022. I hear what you're saying about ideology, but that reality that we can see on the screen, Evelyn, surely that in the end says to people, this is what you do with the pencil in the privacy of the voting booth.
Absolutely, and that's what I think we were all saying, you know, exactly the same thing at the beginning, is that at the moment, Australians are feeling it really tough. Everyday Australians are struggling to pay electricity, to pay for mortgages, pay for rent, pay for childcare, education. These are really tough. So this is going to really speak volumes in the next election. I just hope and pray that people don't believe the same gullible lies and fall for the same 4 years like they did. But you're right, this stuff really does matter. I mean, if you look at mortgages, the amount of money that they're loaning and the amount of money that you have to pay back in interest and principal is insane. You're basically in debt for the rest of your life.
That's if you can get one in the first place, right?
True.
Think of how many people are struggling to even get
Rents
into the housing market.
House prices are high, exactly.
I mean, we've seen a trend. I mean, I spoke to a financial strategist today who said that we have seen a bit of a drop in housing prices, but ultimately, you know, it's going to be a big guessing game as we come towards the election, right? About when is the RBA going to make their rate cut announcement? I mean, there's so much hinging on this, but ultimately now, I mean, we've spoken a lot about the ideology around it, but, you know, at the end of the day, the things that matter most to Australians is, can I put food on the table? Can I provide for my family?
That's what I've been saying for the last 10 minutes.
But hang on.
1 for Kel, 0 for the panel.
No.
It's not about ideology, it's about reality.
No, it is about reality to people with common sense, but what I'm saying is for those
reality to anyone who goes to
the hardcore ideologues, they're not going to be persuaded because they'll continue to make excuses for the Albanese government. You're saying no, but they will, Kel, and I see it daily in commentary and the way
they voted for Dan Andrews again after what he did.
Exactly.
COVID.
I mean, you know, he did what he did down in Melbourne, and they still get in a Labor government. I mean, it's absolute.
Can I just read something about mortgages quickly, just to break it up a bit? I wrote this down, and it actually just blew my mind when I thought about this, just how insane this is, and the position that we're putting young people who might be entering a loan. So over 30 years, the total repayment on a $1 million loan, which is, you couldn't even afford a fibre or three-bedroom house for that.
In Sydney, that's
so
really
for
normal.
over 30 years, the total repayment on a $1 million loan would approximately be over $2.1 million, of which over $1.1 million would just be pure interest. Like, that is kneecapping young families who want to have a home for their kids. Like, to pay that much money in interest is ludicrous to me, that we live in a first world nation and we can't do more for our kids.
My father paid $1,000 for a block of land. And I mean, this is going back to the 1970s and we account for indexation and all of that kind of stuff. But he said after 10 weeks, I could have had a deposit on a block of land after 10 weeks of work. People are killing themselves, Kel.
Yeah, but
and they still can't afford it.
The ideologues experience that. You're saying to me that
they're still not going to be persuaded. Do you not know that they worship the climate like it's a god?
Yeah, it's their identity.
It is.
The number of people who divorce themselves from reality that completely is tiny. We live with compulsory voting. It's this wonderful system that tends to give us sensible governments most of the time, centrist governments. So because it's compulsory voting, 25 million Australians have to make up their mind, not the ideologues. And what we're all agreeing on is the reality is so tough, they are going to have to go in a way that rescues them.